was an utter, heartless, and cruel man. He knew that the poor widow was unable to pay. Alam niya, he knows that the poor widow cannot pay. And he knows that there was no goods left that he could seize or more worth seizing. So what he do? He actually come to make her 2 sons become slaves. Kasi alam niya, he knows that there's nothing he can get out of that poor widow. So sabi niya sa poor widow, send me your son. I'll just make them slaves. So, even the slightest touch of humanity might have led him to be content himself with 1 son. He did not. Hindi siya nakontento sa isa. He wanted to get the 2 sons. Diba? If you were somebody na may someone owe you something, at least you could, with maawa ka, maybe compassionate. Oh, just give me 1 son. And then the other son, I let him to be with you so that he could earn something for you. But this creditor is so cruel. He took both. He never left anything for the mother. Remember, we're talking about the mother here, right? The mother who his husband is now dead. Right? And then, and his condition is that, I hope we see this, kukunin yung anak niya. Nothing will be left of her. Kasi yung anak niya gagawin slave. Ganon yung kanyang dinadalang problema. That's how difficult her problem is. He has nothing left. Actually, we will find out. So there was no mercy. There is no pity in this. In his heart and self is hard. Okay. So that was chapter 4, verse 1. So what can we learn? What are the pointers or what are the lessons that we could learn from this verse? Okay, even though it's just 1 verse, there are few things that God have already illuminated on my point of view. So this is number 1. Number 1, that though we serve God, we are not exempted to face death and or trials. Do you agree? It doesn't necessarily mean that we are followers of God. Remember the husband, he might be a preacher too. He is a son of the prophet. Nag-aaral siya. He was studying Bible study with the prophet. And then all of a sudden, he dies. And he doesn't only die, he was in debt. May pagkakautang siya. And some historians said that this is the prophet Obadiah. Obadiah. Because there was a story that Obadiah, when he died, he left with a big loan. Not because he was consuming, but he was helping another prophet. But anyway, that was not the point. The point is that though we serve God, we are not exempted to face death and or trials. Okay, so tell that to yourself. It doesn't necessarily mean that, Brother Adele, I am part of the church. I'm not going to encounter problems. No. Remember the husband? He feared God. Remember? Sabi doon, your servant, he is a servant too. And he feared the Lord. But again, he died. And he died in an early age because naiwan yung the wife. Number 2, what can we learn from this verse? Number 2, that it is okay to cry out for help, especially from the people of God. Probably you would say, yeah, Father, that's so practical. But the point of the matter is, not everyone does it. Meron mga iba, there are some people that they try to carry their own load. But remember what this lady did? He cried out for help. He cried out for help. We'll see more about that later on. Okay? Number 3, what can we learn from this single verse? Number 3 is that death slaves us. Yung pagkakautang, yung pangungutang, per se. I'd like to make a side note here, okay? Let me give you some pointers about debt. A lot of people ask me, Brother, what does the Bible say about debt, or borrowing, or lending, or borrowing money? Is it okay? Yun ang madalas tanongin. That is the most common question that is being thrown to me. Is it okay to borrow money? Okay, let me put it this way. Number one, here. It is okay, but it is not advisable. Okay? Look at this. It is okay to borrow. Why? Look at this. Exodus chapter 22, verse 25 to 27. I'm just simply giving you some side note. Okay? This is an application because remember, the man dead, namatay siya, he died, and then he was put dead. Sabi dito, if you lend money to any of my people, God was talking here, with you who is poor, you shall not be like a money lender to him. And you should not exact interest from him. Okay, so who is being described here? The lender. Okay, this is the lender. Now look at this. This is the borrower. If ever you borrow your neighbor's cloak in pledge, you shall return it to him before the sun goes down. For that is his only covering, and it is his cloak for his body. In what else shall he sleep? And if he cries to me, I will hear, for I am compassionate. So, looking at this verse, it seems to me that it is okay to borrow. But again, let me put a clause, it is not advisable. Okay? Look at that word that I highlight, the question, the word if. Because it is a condition. It doesn't necessarily mean that the Lord allows it, that means it's advisable. Okay? You know, sometimes the Lord allows things in our life, but that is not what He wants for us. Inaalaw niya kasi matigas ang ulo natin sometimes. Okay? Again, if you're going to ask me, is it okay to borrow? It's okay. But look at this. It is not advisable. Why? Sabi dito, give to the one who begs from you, and do not refuse the one who would borrow from you. Who is being described here? The borrower or the lender? It is the lender. Give to the one. Meaning, the Lord is talking to the one who would lend some money. It is not the borrower. You know, if you're going to read most of the verse in the Bible, it talks about the lender. You know, give to the poor, lend to the poor. No one, I don't know, right now I haven't seen any verse that say, go to your neighbor and borrow money. Have you seen one? Most of the times it being described or associated to the lender. Okay? Again, on my point of view, it is okay but not advisable. Rather than why? Because look at the warning. Look, verse 14, 28. For which of you desiring to build a tower does not first sit down and count the cost, whether he has enough to complete it? Who is talking here? It's the Lord Jesus Christ. And what the Lord Jesus Christ is saying here? Before you do something, before you make something, plan. Plan is part of your life so that you will not borrow. That's what he was trying to say here. And then look at Proverbs 22:26. Be not one of those who give pledges who put up security for them. Anong tawag dito? Cosigner. Diba? Marami, you know, there are a lot of people that would come to you and ask you, can you sign up for me? Again, it is okay. Is it advisable? No. Why? Because there's a warning. I'm not saying it's wrong, okay? Let me be clear on that. But there is a warning. Another thing, there is a consequence. The reason why there's a warning, because there's a consequence. Look at Proverbs 22, verse 7. This is a principle, this is not a promise, this is not guaranteed. But what does the Proverbs say? The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is a slave of the lender. Totoo naman, di ba? Pag kami utang ka, parang hindi ka mabakali, hirap ka. You are not at ease. Again, I'm not saying that it is not okay. It is okay, but there's a warning and there is a consequence. So, what is the goal? Brother, what's the point? Because here is the goal. Romans 8:13. Owe no one anything except what? Love. Yun sabi niya, each other. For the one who loves another has fulfilled the law. And then look at Romans 13:7. This is a command. Pay to all what is owed to them, taxes to them, to whom taxes are owed, revenue to whom revenue is owed, respect to whom respect is owed, honor to whom honor is owed. Okay? So I'm just simply pointing out that borrowing money, it's okay, but again, it is not advisable. Okay? Because of those certain things that I have mentioned. Okay? So it's not, I'm not totally saying, oh, you cannot borrow. That's not the point. So, what did we learn? Ang sabi doon, that debt slaves us. Kung naman eh, it slaves us. Sometimes we cannot move on because of our debt. And we see this in the story of this man. Right? The story of this man, he was dead. And who suffered for his death? The family that was being left. He cried out to Elisha, my husband is dead, and the creditor is seeking for my two sons to become slaves. Do not be a slave to death. That is my encouragement. The third thing that we could learn from here, that it is important for us parents to prepare even for our death. Look at this. Look at what happened to that young husband, that husband. He died. And who suffered? The family that was left. So it is important for us, to invest in our insurance. Or as you could say, I think every one of us doesn't want that time comes when the Lord, take us out from this world, and then we will leave our family miserable. Diba? I don't know about you, but this is how this verse speaks to me. I don't want to be that kind of husband that when I die, my kids will be put into slavery. So that's the lesson that I learned from that one verse. Okay, that is the situation. What is the situation? There is this woman who is in big trouble because the creditor is seeking after her because of his husband's death. Now, let's look at the imposition. Okay, this is my second point, the imposition. What do you mean, brother Adel? Okay, so let's look at this imposition. Verse 2. So Elisha said to her, "What shall I do for you? Tell me. What do you have in the house?" And she said, "Your maidservant has nothing in the house but a jar of oil." Ano sabi ng babae? "I have nothing except a jar of an olive oil." Right? So there is this imposition. And there is these two questions. These two questions really strikes me out. Sabi ka what shall I do for you? And the second question is, what do you have in the house? Right? This first question about what shall I do for you, it is a Christian way of addressing a need. Pag kami lumapit sa atin, when somebody comes and approach us for some help, the best thing that we could tell them or tell her or tell him, what can I do for you? Minsan, sometimes what we say, kasalanan mo kasi. That's not the best way of response. But look at Elisha. He said, what shall I do for you? And what do you have in the house? At this point, Elisha is encouraging the woman to focus